video. It's upside down. I have no idea why Wayne sent it upside down. From March 27th-ish.
Yeah.
At the Whole Foods in West Hartford. The interaction with police.
We don't have the disruption.
I'm here as their legal representative.
Were you here during the incident inside? That wasn't the answer to my question.
I'm here as a legal representative.
Okay, all right.
And I'm observing some measure. Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll get the answer. Okay.
Hi. We're happy to leave. Thank you.
You.
Okay.
Okay, right now.
Okay. So I'll stand over there and observe.
No problem.
Off of the private property.
Off the property.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll be standing over there on the
That's fine.
sidewalk and observing.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so that video was taken by Wayne. The night of March 27th, we went and did a disruption at Whole Foods West Hartford. Kes did a wonderful speak out. Unfortunately, Zach wasn't able to record it. And then the manager called the cops like that. And we got out, 6 of us or 7 of us ended up getting detained. We got back and we were confused. What does detainment actually mean? What are our rights? And that is where this comes into play.
You're so wet.
And that's Zach. Quickly, we're going to go over amendments that all activists should know, the 3 levels of interaction between police and activists, how to interact with police, searches, legal do's and don'ts, protection, security culture, and demand your rights. First is the First Amendment, which is the freedom of speech. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the right of the people to peacefully assemble. There's freedom based on forum and freedom based on content. Speech is most protected in traditional public forums, although the state may regulate the reasonable time, place, and manner. Privately owned forums such as Whole Foods, malls, privately owned buildings, this does include their parking areas, but not the sidewalks around them. The owner or person in charge may ask you to leave, and not doing so, you can be charged with trespassing. And then there's freedom based on content, which you are free to say whatever you want as long as it does not include defamation, obscenity, or hate speech. Oh, wrong button. I hate this mouse. Next is the Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by oath and affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. This goes for warrants. Cops aren't supposed to conduct a search of you or your property unless you give verbal consent. There is a search warrant issued and signed by the judge. Sometimes they try not to get the judge to sign it, and they're like, we'll do it later. No, there has to be a legal signature from a judge on the paper. And the situation creates an exception to the warrant requirement. Exceptions of the requirement are exigent circumstances, pursuit of a suspect through somebody's yard, community caretaking, when one's immediate safety is in jeopardy, automobiles. Cops are you can search an automobile without a warrant. Arrest, a cop may search a person in their wingspan, arms are straight out. And plain view doctrine, where if a cop walks into a building, sees a gun, he may take it and search the rest of the visible area around him. Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent. No person shall be held to answer for a capital unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against themselves, not to be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Not being witness against yourself or others and the grand juries. The Fifth Amendment provides protection against being forced to incriminate yourself, both in regard to testifying at trial and supplying statement during investigation. You have to invoke your Fifth Amendment. It's not automatic to you. Silence is not enough, so repeat it as many times as necessary. The 3 levels of police interaction: conversation, detention, and arrest. Level 1, conversation. Police officers have the right to approach and ask questions, but absent any reasonable suspicion that you were involved in a crime. An officer cannot detain you. You do not have to answer any questions. You do not have to provide any identification to an officer at this level unless you are in a motor vehicle. Minors under 18 do not have to answer any questions by police unless a parent or attorney is present. Determine if you are in level 1 situation by asking if you are free to leave. Always ask questions. Level 2, detention. If an officer reasonably suspects you have been involved in a crime, they may detain you for questioning. You must provide any form of identification you have on your person. Do not leave your wallet in the car. Do not leave your license or ID in the car. Have it on you for any disruption that you partake in. Do not consent to a search. An officer may pat you down if they have a reasonable suspicion that you are carrying a concealed weapon, but never verbally consent. Do not talk to the police. Simply say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Never run away. Level 3, arrest. Ask for an attorney immediately upon being taken into custody. You have the right to a phone call, medication, and any dietary needs. Repeat as often as possible. If the jail fails to accommodate, start the grievance process as soon as possible. What happens next after you get arrested? Either while you're in custody or right after release, you will be required to appear in court. Plead not guilty to any and all charges that are brought upon you. Never plead guilty. It is your responsibility to remain in contact with your attorney. If you choose to go to trial, it may be your responsibility to locate and get your own witnesses. It's not your attorney's job to do that. If you are found guilty at trial or elect to later plead guilty, you are allowed a 48-hour delay in your sentencing. At the sentencing hearing, you may be ordered to serve jail time, so be prepared to report to jail immediately. What to do when interacting with police. You are not allowed to lie to the cop, but they are allowed to lie to you, and you should expect them to do so. In the case with Wayne, we're not sure whose information was correct, the cops or the managers, so always expect them to lie and tell you false, because their main thing is intimidation to get you to basically incriminate yourself. Keep your hands visible and don't make any quick movements. Don't go with the police unless you are under arrest and you are read your Miranda rights. Stay in well-lit areas where witnesses are present. Assume that you're being recorded. If possible, record or have someone record the interaction. It is legal to record a police interaction in a public place if you inform them that you are recording them. Be polite but firm about asserting your rights. Searches. All right, what if you live with a roommate? Do the cops have the ability to search your apartment, whatever, wherever you live? A roommate can't consent to a search of a common shared space into his or her own space. A roommate cannot consent to a search of another person's private space. A common shared space may include kitchen, living room, bathroom, but not a bedroom. A private bedroom cannot be searched unless it is shared and is used as a common space between both roommates. A dorm room can be searched with the consent of your roommate. Spouse. Okay, I'm not home. My husband's home. Can he consent to a search of the bedroom, whatever? The spouse can consent. You guys share the common area. The space is both yours and theirs. Parents. Does my mom and dad have the right to allow them to search my space? Parents can consent to a search of their children's private space. To protect against unwanted searches, make sure you keep your private space private. Do not allow your roommate to have access to your space if you live with a roommate. Inform roommates, office mates, and anyone you share space with to never consent to a search. All right, trash day. Bring your trash outside. Can they search it? Yes, they can. Once you have placed your trash outside your house, agents can search it without a warrant or any other legal restraint. Courts have found that you have no privacy when it's outside your house. Basically, they say you are surrendering it to the general public. Your car. Technically, it's your property, but not really. Law enforcement has extremely broad powers to conduct warrantless searches of cars. If an officer has probable cause to believe that a car contains evidence of a crime, the officer may search the car and any container that could be large enough to conceal that evidence. Exercising your rights safely. Always be polite, be respectful, keep your hands visible, ask to leave often, ask for a cause, ask if requests are orders, record encounter immediately, report any violations. Never answer any questions, lie or give false documents, give permission to search without fully reading the warrant, argue, resist, flee, or obstruct. Videotaping. You can legally video and audio record a police officer performing official duties while in public location. Legally, an officer cannot confiscate your equipment, demand to see footage, or delete it without a warrant. An individual may not interfere with the officer's duty. In our video, we saw the officer ask Wade to leave the property. He did so. Never argue with them, saying that I have the right to be here, just step back. And never physically resist. Most avoidable arrests occur from trickery or intimidation, which ultimately result in the individual consulting to a search and or admitting guilt. Refusing a search or refusing to answer questions does not admit guilt or a reason to detain you. Your Miranda rights are only read at the time of the arrest, and that's the only time you will ever hear them. Security culture basics. There's basically 3 that are the top most important for every activist to abide by. Don't brag, don't gossip, and only talk to those that you need to talk to. You're engaged in activism to protect the planet from further destruction, not to get cool points. Bragging about actions, past, present, or future, puts you and your community at risk. The government may use bragging to gather information about you, your comrades, and actions. It may also target you for getting more information. This applies to real life as well as electronically. Government agencies closely monitor email, Facebook, websites, and cell phones. Don't gossip. Like bragging, gossip creates a weak link through which the government can gather information about a community to use against it. Additionally, gossip opens up opportunities for the government to exploit or even create disagreement and tensions between activists. Even if the government doesn't use your gossip to do damage, you may do that anyway. Gossip can easily lead to good activists dropping out of movements. And operate on a need-to-know basis. Only share information with others that need to know, and only share the information with the people who need to know. Any further sharing creates the unnecessary risks of information getting shared with informants, people who will snitch and people who did not want to be responsible of knowing information. Be careful where you share the information and be aware of your surroundings. How to protect your organization. All types of communication can be intercepted. Text messages and emails are the easiest to intercept. Once it leaves your phone, your computer, your tablet, it's fair game. Cell phone tracking has no uniform legal standards. Encrypt your emails if you know how. Take passwords seriously. Use anti-spyware. Know your ISPs and delete old files periodically. Tips from Wayne. Limit sensitive information to the people who need to know it. The more people who know, the more likely it is that info can get into the wrong hands. Keep sensitive information out of written documents where possible. Use in-person conversations. If you end up on litigation or facing criminal charges, all of your written, electronic too, will be subject to discovery. Underground activity. If someone discusses underground activity with you, firmly and politely ask them to not discuss such activity with you. If necessary, explain why such language is harmful. Discussion of this sort can attract scrutiny from law enforcement if it ever becomes a part of your local activist culture, and tie a wide net of activists into an alleged conspiracy in the event a criminal case is ever brought. Make this principle known with your activist community, and if someone continuously violates the norm, confront them, inform the other organizers, and politely ask them to leave your group. Maintain good culture. Informants breed on bad culture of distrust and rumors. Be direct about problematic behavior, maintaining good channels of communication, and find strategies to maintain good morale in your community. Reach out to other core organizers if needed. Acknowledge legal risks. Whether leafleting, demos, or civil disobedience, check with a lawyer to determine the legal risks. Communicate these risks with everyone involved with the action. Informants. If you suspect an informant within your group, maintain a file of all suspected and confirmed experiences of surveillance and disruption. Include the date, time, those present, complete description of the event, and any comments explaining the context of the experience. After you get all the information together, let a core organizer for your chapter know the details. It would be wise to hold a meeting to see if any of the other members have experienced any harassment or noticed anyone spying. If you suspect anything happening within the CT Mass chapter, please get in touch with Zach, Matthew, Anna, Julie, or Lorin as soon as possible. That was it.
Yeah.